بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين. Donc, Mr. Rector, Vice Rector, all the officials of the university and faculty, teacher, researcher, dear student, honorable attendees, hello. I'm pleased to welcome you in this auditorium as part of the launch of online course for this semester 2 of the academic years 2022-2023. Reminder, our tutelage insists that these lessons are new provided online. Donc, again, that our university has already taken the lead to apply this new guideline by the installation of the cell of distance learning, digitalization of ACE. The department, in accordance with the directive of our tutelage, has embarked on this policy to improve and modernize our university and the higher education sector. The Department of Architecture intends to participate in this effort by organizing the teaching of a subject under transverse unit of the Master 1, level online and in English language. A considerable effort on the part of the teacher has been made to provide this lesson in English. To this end, several speakers responsible for coloring have expressed their agreement to provide online teaching. As well, our students will expect to answer defense in English, as it's already done last year. This is a promising start, and we expect to generalize in the next academic year the teaching of subjects under the transverse unit in distance mode. As a reminder, the department has already provided several online courses through the commitment of our teaching, but the particularity of this time is to launch in English language. Certainly we cannot master everything, but it's your beginning to all. Il y a un début à tout. Donc we take this opportunity to thank you, our tutelage, for the provision of the necessary means and the repeated encouragement of Mr. Rector, as well as the permanent accompaniment and support of Mr. Rector, has supported the university with his continuous intervention and his interesting, instructive and constructive directive. And it's also the sincere thank addressed to Monsieur Vice Rector of Pedagogy, of Relax, of Prospective, Miss Jean, the person is charge of the computing center, the team of the web TV, and the all actor of University of Béjaïa. Without too much delay, I hand over to Mrs. Warren to begin the first course entitled Heritage as the Architect of Identity, Education and Scientific Methods.
Ladies and gentlemen, dear audience, dear students, good morning and welcome. So, for those who don't know me, I would like please to introduce myself. I'm Dr. Waret Ladouz Manel. I'm architect at the Department of Architecture of this university, our University of Béjaïa. I'm also architect qualified in heritage. So, I would like at first to thank our Ministry of Higher Education for this great initiative and great move. Yes, of course, it's a very great initiative for our university also. So, our department today is really honored, and me too. We are very honored to be chosen in this university for this great event. Personally, I'm so pleased to be here today, as just said by my colleague, Mr. Bonouni. We are chosen to launch officially distance learning and in English language, yes, in English. It's a thing, very amazing thing, yes, for us. So today, I would like to present the first lesson. This first lesson It's based on, or will be talking about heritage of Algeria, especially of Béjaïa. And so we will also go to, we will also try to enlighten all the intervention of this university and this department, all interventions on heritage, on regulation, and the state even it's today in Algeria. So the first lesson, it's entitled Heritage as the Architect of Identity, Education and Scientific Methods. So this course, it will be divided on two parts, two main parts. The first part, it will be a pleasure for me to take you in a journey, very good journey, beautiful. I will show you all the treasures and the good properties of the heritage, cultural heritage of Algeria. The second part, it will give you insights into methods, scientific techniques, scientific methods that are shown and that are provided from our university into these 2 years. So, are you ready? Let's go. Algeria, the largest country in Africa, has seen societies pass through its lands which have played a role in all periods of human history. Its strategic position on the southern shore of the Mediterranean has made it a coveted space for the expression of successive cultures. This same position has made it a crossroad where Mediterranean powers have crossed and confronted each other, from the Punic Wars to the Second World War. All these interests have certainly shaped a chaotic history, yeah, but above all, they have left imprints that are still visible today through the vestiges that are scattered throughout our country. So hang on tight. I'm going to take you back in time and in the past. As you can see here, this is a site of Ain Bouchrit. It's going back 2.5 million years old. This site is the oldest known Paleolithic site in North Africa, discovered in 2018. This site certifies the antiquity of the prehistoric settlement of Algeria, which goes back to the dawn of humanity. This one, it's called archaeological site of Bir al-Atar. Yes, it's old of 130,000 years old. Tassili rock engravings. This one reminds us of the green past of the Sahara and teach us about the way of life of the population in this past. We have also the cave of Geldamen. It's going back 7,200 years ago. It represents, please, yeah. It represents a habitat of Neolithic pastoralists, and it's located here in our wilaya, in the Barbers of Aqabou. We have also archaeological, please, of Tidis. It's a site, 3,000 years of history. Here you can see that there is a funeral tombstone engraved. It represents the funeral mausoleums that it has circle-based, and these ones had evolved. These tumuli, this funeral mausoleum become tumuli, are the most accomplished from the Bazina, which we call Bazina and Dolmen. So you can find here the Midrasan, which is located in Batna. It's going back 3rd century BC. You have also Tombeau de la Chrétienne at Tibaza. And finally, you have the Jidders in Frenda, Tiaret. So, the antique period delivered not only Phoenicians or Roman cities such as Tibaza, Timga, Jmila, and Lambezes, but also know-how, culture, and art through personalities from the university, such as Saint Augustine and Apelius. This site may be the most significant for the study of contacts between indigenous civilizations and the different waves of colonization. From the 16th century BC to the 6th century AD. Yes? So, in the antique period, it was so successful that Algeria has the most remains of the Roman period outside Italy. The Muslim period is their golden age in terms of cultural influence on the Mediterranean basin, and even beyond. The Hammadid, Rustumid, Zianid, and Hafsid kingdom, with capitals such Buja, Bijaya, and Tlemcen, attracted scholars from all over the world for centuries. So you have here also the Medina of the Mzab. This one, it shows to us and it gives to us a lesson for architecture and goes back from the 10th century AC. Here, the Ottoman presence made Algiers the feared capital. Then the French made of it. Yeah? Then the French made of it a laboratory of town planning and innovation, which had nothing to envy for the largest French cities, with the added bonus of its own style mixing, technical evolution with the local stylistic language like Neo-Moorish, the Neo-Mauresque. So, did you enjoy the journey? So, right now, cultural influence, you should know that is the primary sign of the prosperity. And national identity, it's expressed through images, monuments, landscapes, but also through flavors, music, and songs. It is often the first thing that comes to mind when name country is mentioned. These heritages, both tangible and intangible, from a historical and geographical foundation of an identity. And as Ahmed Koumas said, there is no future without the past. So, what about Algeria today? Today, you should know that we have a law, just one law for own protection of heritage, cultural heritage. And if you want, I keep this definition from this law, and the second article for the law 9804 on the protection of cultural heritage defines heritage like as I translated for you into English, as considered cultural heritage of a nation, all the immovable by destination and immovable cultural properties existing on and in the soil of buildings of the national domain, belonging to natural or legal person of private law, as well as in the subsoil of the national, internal and territorial waters, legacy of the different civilizations that succeeded each other from prehistoric times to the present day. As you can see here, I keep this diagram from the site of the Ministry of Culture. You can see here on the list of the property, cultural property, which are protected. You can see here we have 40% of cultural property protected. And this one, it shows to us that we have just 50% monument historic on the list of the classified immovable cultural property. So, here, Algeria has only 7 sites classified as World Heritage of Humanity. Like you can see, we have here 3 antiquity sites like Tipaza, Jamila, and Timgad. We have also Islamic Medina like Mzab and the Kasbah of Algiers. We have also Qalat Beni Hamed, and finally you have the graffiti of Tassili. It's sufficient, it's enough to compare the list of classified historical monuments with those of the Mediterranean countries. So, on the other hand, we have a list of intangible heritage on the list of UNESCO. We have 9 at all. The first, you can see, you have the Halil of Gurara. We have the wreaths and craftsmanship associated with the tradition of wedding costume of Tlemcen. Also, a lot of, or 3 pilgrimage to mausoleums, like so Abd al-Qadir bin Muhammad, and so Hajj al-Qasim in Gurara. We have also the ritual and ceremony of Sebaiba in the Janet. And finally, we have just here that the Rai, as a popular Algerian song, was classified on the list of UNESCO. But not enough. We have another kind also of heritage. You can say that through joint projects with neighboring countries, cross-border know-how such as the couscous, you can see that here, couscous with knowledge, know-how, and practices pertaining to the production and consumption of couscous. Now, this kind of heritage is shared between 4 countries like Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, and Mauritania, Mali, Excuse me. You have also IMSAD. IMSAD is related practices and knowledge of Tuareg, and it's shared between Mali, Algeria, and Niger. And finally, Arabic country, this heritage is also shared between 16 Arabic countries. So, at total, we have 9 intangible cultural heritage have been listed since 2008. So, in other hand, we have another list of intangible heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. Here you can see you have the knowledge and know-how of the water measuring of the Fougara in the Tuat. So, if the economic vector via the tourist spin-offs is clearly exploited by the countries of the Mediterranean basin, Algeria is an exception. The will to discover the economy has been followed since the beginning of the 2000s by recraising of the regulation governing cultural heritage as the law 9804, coupled with important projects in the field of tourism and hotel sector. Today, the heritage value, the monument is affected, and economic benefits struggle to appear, despite the substantial budget that have been released for the promotion of culture. The restoration of several monuments and protected sites and cooperation program with the European Union. Destruction. What for what reconstruction? So, here, today, several processes of safeguarding the national heritage have been initiated. These remain a small number to be encouraged, but too few given the enormous potential of heritage that we have. So, whose cultural value only requires an awareness to obtain this legitimate visibility and appropriation. So how? The urgency of safeguarding the preliminary need to have an updated inventory has been raised at length by experts on heritage in Algeria, and so a new inventory tool has been announced, so great thing for us. But in order to enrich the colonial inventories, it remains the key element for safeguarding as provided by the law. So, I will talk about Bojia, my city. The Bojiot heritage has undergone a lot of destruction, such as an endemic work since Spanish occupation. Ignorance and oblivion are another way of destructing. Unfortunately, there is lack of knowledge, there is a lack of research, not only to safeguard, but above all, to draw lessons from sustainability and architecture. Heritage of Béjaïa, unfortunately toward the progressive destruction of properties, cultural properties of heritage. Yes? So, in addition to natural disasters such as the earthquakes that have hit our city in the last 2 years, like the earthquake of March 221 and 2022. The heritage of Béjaïa is also endemically destroyed through oblivion and consciousness, but above all, through modern urban development or modern layout. Yes? Yes. Do you recognize this fort? Yes, of course. It's the Gouraya monument. It is such a pity. It is a sorry sight. Yes, this fort is in a very bad state. So you can see that even the city of Béjaïa can be destroyed when we don't respect the rules of the law. Such an example, the legibility of monument, respect of safeguard radius, rule of co-visibility, the historic monument, etc. So, how to build the Béjaïa of tomorrow if we don't recognize the values of the past that made Béjaïa the city of light of the Middle Age? I've been asked myself this question for a long time, and today I think and I believe that teaching heritage at the University of Béjaïa as an educator is a solution. Far from to be a teacher of heritage, but to be an educator of heritage. So, at first, let me please show you that we have two main categories of heritage architecture. For first, before explaining methods of teaching this heritage at the university, just I would like that you can be architect, practicing architect by studying measures to safeguarding and measures to preservation of cultural heritage against the form of aggression. And also you can be trainer researcher like us, and you can be equipped with scientific methodological tools to promote research in the field of cultural heritage. But the most important thing here, in this slide, I would like to show you a diagram. This diagram, it will explain you that to becoming a heritage educator, you should assure 4 positions to be this kind of architect. First, what heritage deserves to be taught? So for the first, you have to have vocation, mission, passion, and the way of teaching this module or this topic. So you can see here that at the intersection of spheres, we will have the necessary foundation to achieve heritage education in university training. So at the end of the presentation, you will see that I can fill in the gaps in the intersection of these spheres in these diagrams. So how could becoming educator heritage. So here, you can see that as a vocation, as a patient, in our department, students are obliged to know the heritage of their city by studying closely under the guidance of qualified heritage experts. So here, it's an obligation to go around, to visit, to observe all the heritage on the site, on the land, when we are. So you can identify, and you can learn about this heritage by identifying values, identifying also the problematic of this heritage. Secondly, as a mission, a lot of workshops on heritage and on governance and citizenship, trying to achieve solution and action. We try also to involving officials in these actions. So, yes, teaching method and technique. Here it's the most important of my presentation. So the safeguarding and reappropriation of heritage should involve its effective integration into everyday, both in the economic and educational sectors, but also in their definition as a field of research and exploitation. It's necessary to approach the historic aspect with a scientific, with above all, methodological approach. Yes, so such a scientific method, I would like to show you here in this slide, the main ways for studying heritage, and it's an obligation to follow this way. So you have, for understanding and interpreting heritage, you should use and follow 2 ways. If you want to understand heritage, you should use monographic studies, and for interpretation you can use hermeneutic and phenomenology. So I'm going to explain this. Okay, so phenomenology, it's an approach or method is used to reveal the meaning and values of heritage, and hermeneutic, it's given sense to heritage through the pathic experience, l'expérience pathique. So through text, through representation, and so also when we belong to the land and the sites. So the purpose of the 2 approaches. 1, to create a mediation between all the participant actors of heritage, and to raise awareness of the importance of this one, plays a fundamental role in the construction of local collective identities, and to be at the service of communicative ideology. Finally, establish hermeneutic sequence as a guide to the project. So, talking about projects, several schools of thought have succeeded in defining a method of restoration. If you want to have the French school by Viollet-le-Duc, this one proposed that restoration should be restore the building to its full condition. The second one is the English school with John Ruskin. This one propose that the consolidation is the best way for the monument. But the Italian school, here you can see Camillo Boito, he tried to gather the two approaches or the two ideas, that you can consolidate, also you can safeguard the shape, initial authentic shape of the monument. So, as technique and tools, here, in this module, our department is 2 years. Even the students, they should know that we cannot study and learning heritage if you have no tools, necessary tools of precision technique, also when you go in around. So our department was kept to provide training to students in the field of heritage, as well the case with the convention with the school. It's a school site made up master craftsmen qualified in restoration and architecture. So, and as a case study, we have tried with them for the traditional houses, so to envisage a new typology talking into account the past, reconciling the present. So, we have to also take and use precision tools for contemporary EmbryonVest project, but also to make projects. Yes, it's very important to have surveys for high precision, like using drones or photogrammetry, using scanning, etc. So here, the architectural heritage of colonial fabric also sustains the prism of reading history. The superb facade of the colonial buildings suffer from architectural and ornamental ignorance. You can see on this slide that we, in our department, we had to realize a real restitution. This one is a real restitution of facade ornament of a building, which was destined to destruction. Yes. The TCTC want to destroy it, but the student has tried to inventory all the ornament of the facade building and to propose technical and ornamental solutions to save it from the destruction. So, all this information brings me to the end of the presentation. So let me please fill in the gap and show you how to be able to become a heritage educator in filling in the gaps in this diagram. So you must know, dear student, so to learning heritage at all. So you need some, assure some position, like I said, just said, but also for knowing and recognizing and inventorying heritage, you should follow scientific, not just technique, but scientific method. So this university and department brings us these methods, not just because, you know, there is in Algeria a lot of experts in heritage, qualified in heritage, but they have a lot of technique methods, but not scientific method. Secondly, we have also need resources. We have support and very technical and tool of high precision. You have also need disseminate culture, transmit it to be a mediator, so the teacher can be a mediator, and also the university and the citizens and the students can be mediator in this field. And finally, here, you should develop passion for heritage, raise consciousness, and this one, we can have it on the land, also on the university. So, it's really be at the end of my presentation. I would like to thank you for your attention. If there is any question, I will be happy, please, to answering your answers. So, thank you. But before this, for the student, I would like just to ask a question, if of course, you have understand the main idea of my course. So please, dear student, I just want to know if you have an idea about the key or the achievement of safeguarding or to achieving identity, sustainable identity through heritage. So tell me, please. And I'm thanking you for your listening.